Awesome. Hey,
So,
sister.
hey, girl. So let's talk about us. Let's talk about our journey, how we met, and what this film is about, When Lightning Strikes.
Hit me. What do you want to know?
Well, let's share a little bit with people about your experience and what that was like and how it brought you to this point.
Yeah, well, it was 2017 in the summer, and I was living a beautiful life full of, connection and community and purpose and meaning, and really feeling like I was living almost on a cloud, like just beautiful. Had done 20 years of spiritual work and had just arrived at a place I was really satisfied with my life. And I suddenly woke up one day feeling like I was going absolutely batshit crazy. There was this energy running through my body. The reason the film is called When Lightning Strikes is because I always say it was like lightning struck my body, because the only way I could describe this is to say I felt like I had stuck my toe in a light socket and was being fried from the inside out. I was shaking. I had this current going up my left side that felt like it wanted to tear me apart from the inside out. And what felt like the weight of 1,000 lifetimes worth of pain, emotionally, psychically. If there's no language to describe this stuff, I'm just doing the best I can, crushing me. It was, I'd had panic attacks in the past, like just one or two. This was like nothing I'd ever experienced in my human body. This was like the worst panic attack times 1,000. And I had no idea. And so this just persisted for days and days and days, every moment of the day, trying to survive, trying to get through it, and I had no idea what was happening. So I went through all the traditional, paths you might go through if you think, you're going insane. So I got my brain scanned, got an MRI, I got a CAT scan, I got a EEG, I got blood work done. I went to the ER 3 times. Um, there's so much I can say. And ultimately, it wasn't 6 months into the journey that I learned I was having what's called a Kundalini awakening, and that all of this phenomenon that I was experiencing is part and parcel of what this process does. It's actually really normal. And so we came together to share with the world um, more information about what that can look like, so that people are less confused when they find themselves in these situations. And not only are they less confused, but they feel hopeful, because ultimately it is a gift in the end if you can endure and get through. And we want to help people endure and get through by giving them answers, by giving them hope, by giving them tools, practices, community to support themselves on this journey of, what's we call the unsexy side of awakening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's much more that I can say, and I'll say more as we go, but I think that gives people kind of a general idea of what's up. So to give people answers and community and resources to be able to support themselves through this journey so that it can ultimately transform them and turn into a gift that allows them to live out their highest potential as a human being, which is probably something far greater than they even realize for themselves. And that's why I was so excited when I met you, because you knew what I was talking about. You were the first person probably ever that knew what I was talking about.
Mm.
And it was just like so refreshing and so amazing to feel not suddenly not alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was quite an interesting moment because I had just completed my dissertation. I had basically immersed myself in 5 years of study academically, on trying to understand all of these experiences. And of course, that was part of my larger process of my own spiritual growth, was diving into this academically because I didn't have another structure through which to look at it. My experience was way different than yours. Mine was much more pleasant and fleeting, and it had happened many years ago. And it had certainly informed my decision to study this. And I had spoken with a lot of people about their journeys and their awakening experiences, and been serving people as a therapist and coach to help facilitate people's processes and help them through the challenges. But when you and I met, I knew it wasn't that kind of a relationship. I knew there was more of like a sisterhood connection, and that there was some mission that you and I had to be on together. And that's really what this project is born out of, is this creative energy between us that we wanted to both continue our own path to search and to understand, but also to share with others who might be seeking these same answers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's felt like ever since the beginning that it's been absolutely guided, like we've been drawn together to deliver this message and this idea of hope And we've been so supported along the way of just meeting the right people at the right time, and have formed an amazing team and all the experts that we're going to bring on here so we can, you know, get their opinion and their take on it too. It's just, I feel really grateful.
Absolutely, and I think it's really great where we're going with this film. We've done a lot of shooting, and we have more to go. And I'm looking forward to sharing this with people. I know so many people are already reaching out, asking us when it's coming out, and we've been a little bit derailed with filming now because of coronavirus and all the challenges that that's bringing up for people in a very real way. And on another level, I also think that this virus is giving people a collective trauma experience to draw from. And we know trauma is often really associated with these kinds of spiritual awakenings. And we're all going to be sharing this experience like perhaps nothing else has ever happened in human history. So perhaps there's some common growth that can come as a collective society for all of us through this.
Exactly. And just like in our film, one of our realizations is that the healing for trauma comes from, there's so many different modalities you can participate in, and they're all helpful, but ultimately one of the most healing things is when you're in it with someone and you're fine, you're safe within your community of people who relate to you. And so what this pandemic is doing is allowing us to all feel scared together and to transform those fears together, but ultimately we're doing it all together. And that's one of our goals with the film, is to just bring people together who can relate to each other, so they can feel less alone, they can feel like they're not crazy, so that can become normalized.
Yeah, and it's such a big part of the integration process, just to recognize, oh, this has happened to other people, and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly. It's so incredible to discover that. Absolutely, you're right.
It's great. It's great. We've met so many interesting people already, and everyone that's come onto this project has their own experiences to share. And I think one of the really interesting conversations that Kate and I have been having is about how, you know, we have people that we consider experts, right? They're experts in their field. They've done a lot of work, be it in science or their spiritual path or psychology. But I think everyone becomes their own expert through this process. And that's one of the things that Kate and I really feel strongly about encouraging. So if you're on here and you're looking for solutions outside of yourself, they are all just suggestions. And I would not recommend anyone follow anybody blindly, because I actually think that could be really destructive when you're in the vulnerable state of essentially entering a new realm, giving up, you know, everything you've understood about the world for something greater that can be hard to put context around, and then turning that over to any kind of a teacher without really feeling committed to yourself first. So we're really being intentional about who we feature in our film as an expert, people that are giving people that space to be empowered in their own truth and their own knowing.
Right. And they understand that the journey is about sovereignty and becoming one's own self-authority. Because that's what the process ultimately does, is it turns you into an expert. As Katrina was saying, our experts on the film are all experiencers, and our experiencers are becoming experts. So
yeah, exactly. And it's an ongoing path, you know, so even though there will be waves of challenge and struggle for some more than others, it's a path that is ultimately, it's intended to be something that brings you into a deeper understanding of yourself and who you are in the larger context of, you know, beyond what we understand about the physical world. And everyone, again, has this experience differently. And it's one of those things that we can't quite talk about, right? It's an experience that language does not adequately tell about. It's one of those things, you know. William James, who's the father of American psychology, wrote about in 1902 about these varieties of what he called the religious experience. And one of them is that they're ineffable. They're just impossible to describe. So we can do our best to point at them. And I think the more we talk about it and give each other permission to talk about and share, we can start to point to them in a way that gives us a sense of satisfaction and being heard and being held. And we know that's one of the tools that, right, in therapy, one of the most valuable tools is to really feel seen and understood by someone in an intimate way. So I think if we all hold that space as a community together for one another, we can really utilize these gifts and this transformation that's happening to just become these powerful beings that we were always meant to be. And it might be hard if you're not in that space right now to recognize and to understand that. But we're here to remind you that you are magical and this is your birthright. And the more you can breathe into this process and allow it to flow through you, the more you're going to allow yourself to grow and expand into this new space.
Yeah. And I know it can be so hard to just have trust and faith, but ultimately on the other side, it will be worth it. So if you can have an ounce of trust or faith in the process as you're going through something challenging, it will serve you.
Yeah. So, all right, be in touch. Feel free to make comments and get in touch with us personally if you could use some support on your own journey. And thanks for checking in. And please share this with anyone who you think can relate, even if it's maybe friends or family, so that they can support you if you're the person who's currently struggling with this.
Exactly. Stay tuned. We love you.
We love you.